Alright, so now we're going to be looking at skill summary. So let's click on this tab. Skill summary is all of your competencies that you've inputted. So earlier today, you will see that the chest competency that we put in on that form has populated, and it's right here. We can actually click on that real quick to just kind of show you. It shows everything that we selected and everything we put in. So since like up here when we put no, if you remember that, and we gave a reason, it shows the reason right here. So everything that we input in comments next to that yes or no will show. It shows yeah, everything we typed in. So here's our PA lat 110, you know, everything. It's all here. So this is the form that that your CI and everyone's actually going to be seeing. So yeah, that's right there. Close out of that. Oh, I mean to close out the whole thing, so let's go back. So yeah, it's going to have every single category in the list. So, you know, in the beginning, it's going to be pretty bare. You're going to be able to see everything, even when you, like, input the whole dates. At the end, though, it's going to be, like, super packed, and you're going to have, like, all of these dates, and it's going to be so awesome. But anyways, so yeah, this is the page that you're going to want to see all your competencies. So, this is, like, from every hospital, too. So, well, for right now, I had test site, and then just for this month, and that's why only this one showed, because this is the only one we put in. So, like, let's say we go all the way back to, like, how I did in the beginning with time totals. So we'll go to 2018 again, and then we'll do any, just because we're not looking at one hospital, we're looking at all hospitals and all of the competencies we've done. So then here, you will see it's a completely different page, right? So this is from the very beginning to the current day, and this is all hospitals, so not just the test site. And then you will see like all of the, so we've obviously used chest as an example for quite a bit. So you'll see all the chest examples, but it should only have one. You'll never really have this many in one category for a chest routine, because this is just your comps, so you'll only be doing one chest comp. And then even down here, you know, clinical recompetencies. So when you do your own chest recomp, you will have it'll have its own category. So seeing this many in this category is not how it's going to look. But yeah, so you can bring up all of your competencies through the very beginning, through the current day. You can't look in the future, of course. But yeah, you can click on any of these competencies. So, you know, like let's say we want to look at this one from December 12th. It'll bring it up, you know, and that's just how you look at that. And you can do that with any, so, you know, like, let's look at the knee lower competency. It'll bring up that one as well, you know. And that's just how you get, you know, how you look at all the different ones that you've inputted. Let's see, so let's go to the one we inputted today. At the end, you'll see not approved by test student. You always want it to say not approved. If it does say approved, I recommend sending an email to Laura and be like accidentally, and then re-putting it in as not approved. I'm sure she'll have her own explanation of what she wants you to do with that. But I always like to do, like after I input a competency and it says competency, you know, saved, or I can't exactly completed or something. I'm pretty sure it says competency saved. I always like to go to skill summary and just check here and make sure that it showed up and that I did in fact say not approved, and you know, make sure that everything shows up that I typed in and that it's all clear and good to go, because this is what, you know, they're going to be looking at for reviewing and, you know, giving you the competency and approving it. So you can see here there's like different coloring and all these crazy symbols, and you're like, what is this? So basically the grayed ones out are ones that haven't been approved yet. So like, let's say, the one that we put in, well, of course it's not approved yet because we haven't approved it. But it also means that, the CI hasn't looked at it yet and hasn't approved it, and also Laura hasn't looked at it, or your clinical coordinator hasn't looked at it. So like, let's look at a blue one. So blue one shows that it was approved by Laura, and it should say, it'll also say not approved by you and approved by Laura. It should say those two. Let's see. Different blue one here. This one has a plus sign. Still says approved. So basically, it just says, blue has been approved, it's been reviewed, and gray, it hasn't, been approved yet. That also could be just because they haven't gone through them yet. So don't freak out if it's gray, and they just haven't looked at it yet. There will be a time where I'm trying to find one. I don't, but basically it'll say not approved by you, but it'll say reviewed by, your CI. So, it'll still be gray. That just means that, you haven't approved it, but it has been approved by your CI, but it hasn't been approved by Laura yet, or your clinical coordinator. And that's when it will turn blue, because, see here, it says approved by test student. That's a no-no. You do not want to approve your own competencies. It will appear blue with that too. So that's another thing to check. Like if you just inputted a competency and it's immediate blue, you're like, uh-oh, that's not right. So go in and fix that. But yeah, so, grayed out and say not approved by you. That's the biggest deal. And then reviewed by your clinical instructor. And then your clinical coordinator or Laura has to come in and make it blue. So when it is blue, it means that it's been approved, you're good to go, it's in your records, and you for sure got it. Unless you go over, your competencies, and unfortunately they'll take one away, or you just don't have enough performs. So that's another thing that you'll be able to see here. So, participation levels, 1 is observed, 3 is, it actually say here. That's cool. I didn't know that. But 3 is assisted, and 5 is performed. So you always want to have so many performs before you comp. So here it says we've only performed 1, but we've observed 14. So in that case, I don't think any of these would be approved, because you have to, I think, perform at least 3 and to get any kind of recognition. You can't just be like, oh, see one, do one with this. No, I mean, you want to, being competent in something means that, you've done it so many times, you're like, yeah, this is it, I'm good, I can input this information. So it's another thing you can find here. Like, let's say you're unsure about how many performs you've done for a certain exam, especially ones that are more rare. You can go down to that specific exam. So like a scapula, of course, there's none here, but you'll be able to see in your performed, it'll be like 2. Oh, and then you'll be like, okay, like I need one more scapula before I can, comp. But, it's a case-by-case thing. Scapulas are pretty rare. Like a calcaneus or something, you're going to want, maybe at least 2, but they're really rare. So yeah, you'll be able to find that, like how many you've done. And it also gives like mandatory in this. I've found that they haven't quite correlated. Like I said in previous videos, tutorials, you can always check the ART website and see which ones are mandatory. It could have been updated by the time you guys use this, but I would still just look at the ART website. But yeah, so this gives your participation levels. It gives any inputted information about when you've inputted a competency, whether it's been unapproved or it's been approved. Here you'll also see like mock procedures you've done in class. Those should be inputted here. And then your clinical recons have their own category. Modality rotation, so like let's say, for a couple of hours you went to go help out in PET CT, or you went to go help out in CT, you log all your hours through the daily log sheet, and those will populate here as well. which should have been covered in the daily log sheet tab. But yeah, clinical internship records is just basically all of your competencies that you've inputted. So like let's say, you just want to look at, you can change any month, any time that you want to look at, if you want to just look at a specific day. Like let's say you just had a really awesome day, and you just wanted to look at all the competencies, you got at that specific hospital, then you can just click that, and it just, that's weird that it didn't change. Oh, I forgot to change the date. There. But yeah, really awesome day, and you wanted to just look at that day. It really helps and isolates. It takes away all of that, because you go from like this craziness all the way to the just like, oh yes, I got one chest today. Like it just shows you, and it simplifies things. So yeah. Just a recap, shows your participation level, how many performs you've done here under 5, shows every single category. This is the form that pretty much tells you whether or not, you're gonna graduate, because it gives everything you've completed and what's required and everything. So it's a good way to keep check on top of, what you still need and everything. And every single different type of exam, etc. And yeah. Oh, it also gives repeats. So any information that you put in daily log sheet will populate here. So your perform levels, your repeat numbers, and it'll also give repeats in this category too. It might have changed, but yeah, it'll tell you how many repeats you've done, how many, observed, performed, assisteds, and it's mainly used to look at competencies. You can look at grand totals and everything and all that, but there's another tab which I'll show you, which is more pertinent to showing all that. But this is mainly used for competencies and looking to make sure inputted everything correctly, and if you put not approved. And alright, we'll move on to the next tab.